You go.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mengistu Jackson, and welcome to the Lrtn Live Update. I know it's been a while since we last seen each other, but today I have a special interview. Please give a warm Lrtn welcome to 20-year veteran, U.S. veteran, and 2023 Republic of Liberia presidential candidate, Mr. Mengistu E. Wolokoie. And also joining us for the conversation is Mr. Nathaniel Y. Heron. Mr. Heron, how are you?
Pleasure joining this panel discussion to discuss issues affecting our country, Liberia. And I will do my utmost best. I pretty much sure all of the participants, including Mr. Wolokoie, will do their almost best in making this program a successful program. Again, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Heron. Before we actually get into tonight's questioning, can you please give a formal introduction to our viewers? A little bit about your personal, educational background.
Well, for those of you who may not know me, I am Nathaniel Y. Heron. I'm a resident of the first state, the state of Delaware. I bring greater experience on the platform of politics in Liberia. I'm a product of Temple University with a bachelor's degree. I went in pursuit of higher education to have dual masters. One is public administration with emphasis in government from Keller Graduate School of Management. After I graduated, I joined the Armed Forces of the United States of America, one of the greatest military to ever exist in the history of mankind. I served honorably, like my counterpart, Mr. Wolokoie. I also understand he's a veteran. As a matter of fact, a 20 years veteran. So we have a lot of things in common. I am married with my wife and kids. To be precise, I live in Dover, Delaware. Um, Basically, this is who I am, and I'm looking forward to have a successful program as a panelist on the panel discussion to discuss issues affecting Liberia.
Thank you, Mr. Heron. As I said earlier, we will be having another guest joining us, Mr. J. Rainey Dapper. But before that, let's get into it with Mr. Wolokoie. How are you?
How you doing, sir?
I'm good. I know the first question our viewers would like to know is what qualifies you to run for presidency of Liberia?
Well, thank you for that question. I am glad to be with you guys today, and look forward to a fruitful discussion, spirited debate. Thank you for having me. Thank you to the LRNT and to all Liberians home and abroad watching this uh, broadcast today. Thank you for everything. Thank you for giving me the chance to talk to Liberian people and the war. For your question, what qualifies me to be to run for president of Liberia? Constitution, one. Constitution. I meet all the constitutional requirements to run for president of Liberia. Two, I am running because I want to make Liberia and Africa better for the future generation of Liberia. Because I believe this now is the time for our country and our continent to put the needs of the future generation before ourselves. Our parents' generation did not secure a better future for us that allowed us to most of us to migrate to the United States, Canada, Britain, Europe. So it's time for us as for our generation, you and I, to go back and make life in the future better for our future generation.
If you don't mind me asking, running, you would be one of the youngest candidates to ever run, correct?
I would say so. I'm not sure. I would say I would be one of the youngest candidates to run, and I would say if elected, I would probably be one of the youngest candidates if elected. People people want to say other stuff, but that's semantics. I wouldn't consider somebody I know who the person people would say he was young, but I don't think he was elected, so I wouldn't say he was elected.
All right. Another question. So you talked about, in a sense, modernizing Liberia. What would be different between your administration and the current administration now? What would
My
be different?
my the difference between the difference that would be between my administration, the current administration and my administration. One, our plans and our vision is for the future generation of the country. One, let's talk about one of the plans we have. If you go to our website, www.mengistuwolokoie.com, you will see that we want to employ, develop broadband across the whole country. In Liberia in 1909, 1908, don't quote me on the exact year, Liberia received the first broad fiber cable in Liberia from Liberia to Brazil. Imagine if previous generation had developed what we have already. So once one of the steps with the internet, employing internet throughout the country, we have a free flow of information in the country. Another step that we want to do, advance our healthcare system, advance our education system. With the internet to the system, to the country, we will also have young students like yourself, and younger student teacher will be able to teach better for us to expand our young children minds in Liberia with the fact of sharing information back and forth to the world, knowing what is outside of Liberia, what is outside of Africa.
Thank you for that. I'm going to give Mr. Heron a chance to interject. And before so, welcome, Randy Stopper. Welcome to the conversation. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for giving me the space to at least interact with your guests. And I hope we had a good time today. Thank you so much.
Most definitely appreciate it. Mr. Heron, would you like to interject any questions or
Sure,
comments?
sure, definitely. Mr. Wolokoie, to be quite honest with you, many of us do not know you. And you're telling us that you want to run for the highest office in the land. My question to you is, do you have a political party that's already existing, or you're going to form your own political party? Is your political party registered? If or you're going to form your political party, how are you going to run? You running as an independent? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sir, I run as an independent candidate.
Okay, so okay, you're running as an independent candidate. In other words, you have no political lineage with any political party because apparently you and they don't have the same political ideology, and that's fine. Um, right now, right now, we will not consider you as a candidate. You'll be like an experiment. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I am aspiring. When I get on the ground in Liberia before the election, I will register as a independent candidate, and I will be a candidate on the ballot for 2023 general election.
Okay. With all due respect, sir, I'm not going to take anything away from you, and I'm not going to ask you a rhetorical question because everybody gets in a race to win. But from all indisputable evidence, it seems to be like you're kind of a late. Are you using this as a launching pad or a dress rehearsal for maybe the next 20 or 30 years when you should have become real right? In other words, when it's about time for you to ready to become president? Because right now, to be quite honest with you, when you call that name, Mengistu Eddie Wolokoie, nobody actually knows you. You don't have any kind of a tangible that many of us know about. We are going to dive into your policy proposal documents. We already have some of it right before me. We're going to dive into that. But it's like, to me, it feels like you're using this as a launching pad. you're using this as a dress rehearsal for maybe 20 years from now, upon which time you'll be ready. Are you ready for the job now as we speak?
I still. Are you asking? Is that a question you asking me? I didn't get the question in there.
The question here is, many Liberians don't know you.
Okay.
You don't have tangibles on the ground, visible tangible on the grounds that people are talking about, that some of us know about. If you do, you can make it known to us. So for me personally, I am looking at it from the perspective such as you using this as a launching pad or something like a dress rehearsal for maybe 20 years from now. Is that correct? The way I'm thinking, is that the right way I'm thinking, that you don't have a chance of winning? You're only using this as a dress rehearsal for maybe 15 or 20 years from now, when upon which time you'll be rep? That's my question.
Okay, well, that is your opinion.
Yes, sir.
And everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
Yes, sir.
So with that's your opinion. I am running for president of Liberia, 2023 general election. It is on me as a candidate, regardless of the time that I'm given. It's on me as a candidate to allow the people to get to know me. It's on me as a candidate for me to get out there on the ground and introduce myself to the people. So, to answer to your question, really don't see no question in what you asked. It's on me as a candidate and as my campaign to make sure that the people know that Mengistu E Wolokoie is running for president of Liberia.
All right. We have 2 more years. Fair enough. We have 2 more years to the general election, and maybe 2 years is enough for you. But this is not my first time hearing about you. I heard about you through the same Lrtn program or network. Maybe 2 years could be enough time or plenty of time for you. But looking at your party platform here, you talk about Liberia having some racial problem, and which of course, to me, based upon my own understanding of Liberia does not have any racial problem of inequality. You spoke about inequality, racial inequality. So what comes to my mind is like, is there a copy and paste document when Mr. Wolokoie talk about racial inequality in Liberia, and he will bring about racial equality in Liberia? We don't have any racial problem. Could you care to explain on your racial inequality in Liberia, and that you make it even, or you make it equitable for the citizen to benefit from whatever natural resources, whatever getting potential they have? What do you mean by racial inequality in Liberia when we only have one race? We have only the black race. What do you mean racial inequality in Liberia? Can you care to explain on that, sir? How do you connect the assertion with the reality on the ground?
Mr. Heron, before we get into that question, can we give Mr. Dapper an opportunity to ask or make an introductory comment? Mr.
Sure.
Dapper.
Yes, again, let me say thanks to the management and staff of Lrtn Radio for giving me the opportunity here. I think Mr. Wolokoie knows exactly who he's about to interact with here. So what I just have as a preliminary question is, Mr. Wolokoie, since you left Liberia, when last did you visit the country, and as far as the preliminary requirement as it relates to residential clause, you meet that requirement? Have you applied? Have you been given the green light that based on the residential clause you are eligible to run?
Mr. Dapo, it's good to see you again. I would like to the question I'll answer your question is that are you a member of the NEC?
No,
Election Commission.
I don't know what the applicability of that question, but I think for the audience here and as panelists, we want to make sure that the people of Liberia understand who the candidate is. And that question does not only limit itself to NEC. Any Liberian who is knowledgeable about the electoral process in the country has that ultimate right, that civil duty right to ask the question. And that's why I'm asking the question. It does not mean
you have the right to answer. You have the right to ask the question. You are absolutely right.
You have the right
I ask you the question again and again. The Constitution of Liberia state you have to be 35 years or older. You have to be a Liberian citizen. You have to be have $10,000 in the bank for your campaign, and you have to own raw property of $25,000.
Those are just
I finish my question, sir.
those are, let me just interject a little bit.
Hold on. Let me follow up. The question I'm asking you.
I didn't finish answering the question, sir.
Gentlemen,
Go ahead.
Please. You may finish your answer.
Okay. Like I said, it is on me as a candidate to go and file my documents to the NEC, and it's on the NEC and the Liberian government to make sure that I meet all requirements. So your answer to your question, I meet all requirements to run for president of Liberia and to become president of Liberia if the Liberian people see fit for me to be elected.
And that's all I wanted. As long as it's coming from you with the answer, I have no further question. But just to make a correction, the question I'm asking you is more constitutional than the next requirement. The Constitution of Liberia requires that you have a 10-year residential clause in the country. So just to clarify that. But your answer is well presented. I'm not here to challenge it. You're on record now. So whoever comes after you will be able to follow up on that. Do I have another question? Or should I just march now, Mr. President?
Mr. Dapper, I was going to give you a chance to rebuttal, but I think you already gave one. Back to Mr. Heron, you asked a question about racial profiling or racial inequity.
Yeah, in his platform, he talked about racial inequality. And yes, he talked about racial inequality. And I know Liberia is a monolithic country when it comes to race. We only have one race over there. Obviously, we have foreign nationals and the rest of it. So I just wanted him to explain what actually he means by racial inequality, and he will make it possible that everybody will be able to benefit from the resources. I just want you to explain on that. They're almost like a copy and paste document. Like you're taking a framework document from places like the United States how to use racial issues and just apply it to Liberia. So I just wanted you to explain on that. I don't know, like, and I can even give him the example if he can't remember. But I can look in my stack of stuff right now to give him the record because he wrote so many things and he might not be able to remember everything off his head. But if he can remember, he can just throw light on that to explain what he meant by racial inequality in Liberia.
Racial equality. Right now, Liberia, we have, how would I put it? Our constitution states that nobody without a Negro descent can become a citizen of sort. And anybody with a Negro descent can come to Liberia and become a Liberian citizen. When you look at racial equality, I think that right now in Liberia, in 2021, a lot of people are against us having people of other race in the country. So I understand why people don't want that to happen, but I think that we as Liberians, I think we are resilient people. I think we should welcome other race into our culture. I think that we are better than that. I think we need competition is good for us. I think that we as Liberians, as blacks in Africa, that we can step up to the plate of competition. We just need to be given the time, given the opportunity, environment in which that everybody can excel. We for so many years and for decades, our government and the government of Liberia have not allowed the people to flourish. The government have been standing in the way. If you look at our history in Liberia, if you want to look at racial equality, you look at where we have the separation of the Congo people and the native people. You have the history of the Congo people. To be correct, Congo people are not people who came from America. Congo people are people who came that was recaptured on sea, going to the Americas by the British Navy and brought them to Liberia. That came from all over Africa. You have the American Liberians who actually, that my opinion, that what they experienced in America during slavery, they came to Africa and they perpetrated that same behavior on the natives in Liberia. That's some of the stuff when you look at racial equality. Right now, you have after 130 years, you had American Liberian who was in charge of the government for so long that we had a coup d'etat in the country. After 10 years, when the natives finally took over the country, as we would like to say, he read just the way the American Liberians did the country, where we had a 14-year civil war that killed 250,000 of our brothers, mothers, and sisters that shouldn't have happened. So you can look at it from those standpoints. That's why I'm looking at it from those standpoints and looking at it from there to saying about racial equality. If you trying to what's the word I'm looking for? Trying to say that copy and paste, plagiarize by any means, sir, I hope be careful throwing accusations out there to. But I understand you are doing your job, so no hard feelings.
And I really appreciate your candid answer, but you're still missing the point. What you're talking about is almost like, because first of all, Labrador does not have a multiracial cultural democracy. I told you, and everybody will agree that Labrador is a monolithic country when it comes to race. When you talk about Congo versus indigenous, it's almost like trouble, like crime. But Mr. Wolokoie,
if you look at my platform, you'll see some racial problem. We talk about we have Lebanese in the country, don't we? We have a good base of Lebanese individuals in the country, family in the country. We have a good base of Indian people in the country. Do you think that the Indians and Lebanese have the same freedom, the same rights as we do, as the Liberian does? We have the tribal problems. We have the Conquer, the Gio people, or the people from Nima County going against the people from Grand Gila County. That's what our civil war was based on. We had that. We have a sitting senator who was a warlord who passed through Nima County to raise war into the country and did what he did. You had a sitting president who was of another tribe, from Grand Gila, who did what he did. So you can't just sit there and just say, just because you are not on the ground, because you are not seeing it, that it's not there. Just because you do not experience it or you feel that you don't experience it, you are not there. You look at the country that we are sitting in right now. You have people not of black descent who sit and say that there's no racial problem in America. You have Africans that are in America who, I'll put it to you like this, who don't feel that it's a racial problem, who will look at African American and say, oh, you are just lazy. You have free education over here and you don't want to do nothing about it. So don't say that we don't have racial problem. We do. Just because it's not on the surface and you as yourself have not went and experienced such thing, you cannot say it's not there. Just because the people from Lebanon, the people from India that are in the country who don't have rights as a citizen, you cannot say that it's not happening. You have not went and talked to them and to ask them how they feel, how they are in the country.
All right, Mr. Wolokoie, thank you for that response. Just to move the conversation along, I would like to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
So earlier in the discussion, you spoke about investing in, I guess, in the future in education of the children in Liberia. What do your team have in plan, or what type of programs or game plans you guys have set if you guys are elected, or if you guys have the opportunity to be interjected into the political field in Liberia? What do you and your team plan on doing as far as investing in the education and fundamentals of a child?
So the first thing, education. I appreciate our question. You have to realize that in order for our education system to improve, it takes all of us Liberians. That's one. We all have to invest in our education. Yeah. My education plan, if you look at it, I have in there that I want to get K-12 free education. Well, I want to take trade and tech school, put it into high school. I said from grade 9 to 12th grade. Some folks say I had people, we had a discussion, people said from 7th grade to 12th grade. We can debate on that if that's what we're debating on. Hopefully that's what we are debating on. When it comes to that, we need to train our teachers. Teachers need to be certified. Teachers need to have certificate before they go into the classroom. We have to know that teachers know what they are teaching. So we have to retrain our teachers, and we need to get new teachers. How we get new teachers? We have a lot of Liberians who are overseas. We have a lot of Liberians who are in places. We have a lot of teachers all over the place. We need to incentivize these teachers for them to come back into the country so they can come and teach. So those are the plans that we have that we are going to implement if given the opportunity to be elected president of Liberia.
And before we go, or before we cut to commercial break, because we do have to go on a commercial break, do your team have a financial plan on how do you guys plan on getting these things started? I know this when it comes to politics is there's a lot of promises that are being made or that are made, but one aspect that is forgotten is the financial aspect of how these promises are going to actually come to fruition. So do you guys have somewhat of a financial plan? How do you guys plan on financing it?
Good. I appreciate that question, sir. We, so Liberian people, let's be honest. I will always tell you what you need to know, not what you want to know. One, in Liberia right now, how many people do we have pay taxes? Not a lot. Okay, let's take for example, one is how we can raise money, how we can raise taxes. Most of the people who pay taxes in Liberia are people who are doing shipment into Liberia. That's where the government get most of the revenues and stuff from. So, first step. Any Liberian, if elected president, any Liberian shipping goods into Liberia will remove custom tax. You will have to pay a fee, but we'll remove custom tax. If you're a non-Liberian, we'll bring our custom tax down to 4%. With that 4%, for example, if you ship in this pen into Liberia in a container, for you to sell this pen, we're going to create a tax base of consumer tax. With this pen coming to Liberia, if you're going to go sell this pen, the customer will have to pay the national tax on it. Whatever city that this pen is being sold will have a tax base also. So we are going to reduce the amount of taxes people pay in shipping equipment and goods into the country. Will increase the volume so that everybody will share to the tax system on how we pay for stuff. That's how we raise our revenue. We also raise revenue on the standpoint of trimming the government, making sure we're open with transparency. Well, another way of transparency is also creating a digital currency, meaning that within 90 days or so, no government agency under my administration will be receiving money cash. Everything will be done digitally. We'll have transparency where people will know where the money is going, that you will not have to worry about. If you're going to go get your passport, you pay for your passport online. You go there with your receipt and you receive a passport. If you meet all the requirements for your passport, you get it. If you have to open a business, you go on the Minister of Commerce website. If you go there and tell you this is how you open a business, you meet all the requirements. You pay your money online. Your license is issued to you. We will do that, and we will streamline how stuff are done, so we'll have more money into there. Nobody should know somebody in the government to open a business. That's what we'll get. We're not going to get rid of corruption 100%, but we will tame it down. We'll make sure there's checks and balances. We'll make sure there's transparency in our budget, so people can know how we are spending money, what money is coming to the country.
All right, thank you. So transparency, in other words.
Yes, sir.
We have to cut to commercial break. But before we go, I would like to give a special thanks to Mr. Wolokoie, Mr. Heron, and Mr. Dapper, who are all joining in on the conversation. If you haven't already, please like, follow, share, and subscribe to LRTN Network. Right now, actually, share the video. I know there's some people who haven't came across their timeline yet. Share the video, put it out there. We'll be right back after this commercial break.